Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It, the not-so-serious business podcast powered by D2CX. I'm Zoe Kahn, and I'm here to celebrate our wins, vent about our challenges, and bring the D2C and e-commerce community together. Welcome back to Let's Laugh About It with Zoe Kahn. I'm the founder of Inevitable Agency, and today I'm actually going to tell my story of how I got to building a seven-figure agency on accident, which is crazy to say. I just really every day sometimes I'm like, I can't believe I am where I am. And I was actually inspired to tell my story more because I did a speech at the D2CX last year, which is an amazing event. I feel very honored to be a part of the D2CX community. It was one of the first events that I went to for e-commerce, and I had the privilege of telling my story and talking about customer experience and how it doesn't have to be a cost center, that it can be a revenue driver if you make one. But when I spoke at that event, I decided to tell a little bit of my story and how I got to where I am. And it's interesting because some of the things I kind of forgot even happened. And I never felt comfortable telling my story in previous years because I kind of feel like I don't want people to pity me, or I don't want it to be complaining at all, or all those things. It just didn't feel important to me to share. And sometimes it's just I don't even want to think about those things. But after sharing even just a little glimpse of my story at D2CX and hearing the positive feedback from people, it really showed me that I should share it more often. And I'm often finding myself telling it more. And I haven't shared it from start to finish on the podcast yet. So I wanted to take an opportunity to do that today. And I'm also always open to if anyone has any questions about my story, or, needs advice in their career or wherever they are in life, please comment down below or send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is _ZoeKahn_, or Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn, all those things. So, going back to early adulthood, or even going a little bit even farther back, I grew up in the south side of Chicago, and I always kind of had this entrepreneurial leadership mindset. I was sixth grade class president. I thought I was going to change my elementary school's life. I'm not sure. I just really, really enjoyed all of those things. And I also was just always trying to find ways so that I could make money to get ice cream with my friends by raking leaves or shoveling snow, selling bracelets. I would take my little sister, who was way cuter than me, to have her sit and while I was probably way too old to have a lemonade stand, so that she could bring people in and be cute. And then I would give her 25 cents off the dollar that I was. Sorry, Dana. But all of those things that your typical younger entrepreneurial things. I actually signed up to be a caddy carrying golf clubs at 13 years old because it was one of the only things that you could do as kind of legally as a 13-year-old to have a job. It was very interesting experience because it was one of my first time interacting with wealthy people, and it was very uncomfortable for me. I think it was actually such a good place for me to experience as very young. And anyways, growing up, I always kind of was always looking for something to do to be able to express my leadership or improve my leadership, and honestly just make a little money so that I can do the things that I wanted to, because unfortunately my family wasn't able to fund some of those things. So I'm really, really grateful for the childhood and teaching me that you can do those things, and going out there and doing it. And then throughout high school, I obviously went to school, and I had multiple part-time jobs after school. But after high school, I actually unfortunately got kicked out of my house. And I went to Illinois State University for one semester, but in the whole getting kicked out and not having a job stuff that was very hard, I actually was forced to drop out because I couldn't it was hard to get a co-signer for a loan, which I didn't realize was going to be a struggle, getting a loan and grants, and just not having help to figure out how to go to school and like fund school. Because obviously, as you guys know, college in America is so expensive. And if you don't have resources or scholarships, it's can be a very stressful thing. And so I ended up only being able to go for one semester, and I ended up, thankfully, I had a friend who let me move in with her and her family, and I just had to figure things out. I actually didn't even have a phone, and one of the things that I shared at D2CX, which I kind of like forgot about, was like a part of my life, to get my phone. I would go to the plasma donation center and donate plasma as often as they would let me. So it was like in the south side of Chicago, not a like very safe place to be. There was a lot of people who were having a hard time in life, and it's probably like not the best area. And so I would sit there for literally hours and wait to be able to donate plasma, and they gave you, it was $40 every time you could come, and you'd have to wait. I think it was like 48 hours in between sessions, and you'd have to find a book, like you had to make an appointment, so there had to be an open appointment. So I tried to do that as much as I could so that I could pay for my phone bill. And then that way I could apply to jobs and just get like literally anything that I could to get myself back on track with life. I really, really wanted to go back to school, so I was just trying to figure out how to be able to live and pay my bills and then figure out how to get back to school. So that was, I was successful at getting a phone, and I ended up actually getting 2 jobs, which was amazing. I remember being like very negative at first and like not in a great headspace because, you know, I'm like 18, kicked out of my house. I don't even have a phone. It was like really, really hard mentally. And I did not believe in myself. I remember just being like, why would anyone hire me? I don't have any experience that matters. Like I just have like carried golf clubs and helped, you know, the community center and like babysat kids basically. So I remember just being like so negative and just very hard on myself. And during those times, I think that it really impacted my ability to like show up at interviews because I wasn't confident and I was scared and I didn't believe in myself. And I applied to like literally anything that I could work at. Like I did not care what I did. I just like needed to have something. And I remember like the moment where I decided that I needed to be positive and change my mindset around things and say like, no, I can, like I am an asset. I'm a really hard worker. I like can learn anything. I'm very like happy when like I'm around people and I need to be in this mindset. And I remember just like being like, this is the mindset I need, because if I keep telling myself that I'm not going to be able to do something, then that's what's going to happen. And I want to share this too, because it really helped me. And I think that if you're in a negative mindset, it can really, really, really impact your life in a negative way as well. And one of the things that I did to get out of that negative mindset, because I realized sometimes my like thoughts were negative and I didn't even realize it. So one of the things that I would do is write down like what was going on in my head on paper and evaluate like, is this a positive thought or a negative thought? And the typical thing where you're like, would you say this to your best friend? And if not, then like change it, because you should talk to yourself as if you're like your own best friend. And so I would physically like write everything out that was going on in my brain. And it was crazy because when you're actively paying attention to it, you're like, wow, I didn't even realize I was like, I had that negative thought, or I didn't even like your mind is just going and going. And sometimes you just don't even realize what you're telling yourself throughout the day. And you have thousands and thousands of thoughts all throughout the day. And so if those are mostly negative, or even just a portion of them are negative, that can impact a lot of things. So I would physically write it down and I would cross it out if it was negative and replace it with something positive. And let's say like I would be thinking I'm not good enough for this job. like, why would they hire me? And then I would cross that out and be like, I can learn anything. I am so like grateful to have an opportunity to apply to this place. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, but at least I tried. And just really like shift my mindset. And I'm telling you, as soon as I shifted my mindset, I went from like not being able to find anything and just like having to donate plasma to keep my phone on to I got 2 jobs in 1 week. Nothing glamorous. But it really like me changing my mindset helped me do that. And I was working at Planet Fitness and Culvers, the fast food place, at the same time. And my schedule was crazy. I worked very early at Planet Fitness. The shift like started, I believe, at 5 or 6 a.m. and then went till 1 or 2 p.m. And then I would take the bus to down the street, couple miles, and do my shift at Culvers. And my title was bun master. I literally dressed the buns, and I worked in the kitchen, and I, again, was just like so happy to do anything that I didn't care what these jobs entailed. I just needed to get back on track. And I just worked really hard, and I picked up every single shift that I could. I remember being so tired and like falling asleep on the bus to like get to these jobs. And it was like really hard to like show up some days because I was just so tired, but I just like needed to get myself back on track. So I was just willing to do whatever it took. And yeah, so I was really grateful for those jobs, and I actually ended up like falling in love with Culvers. The Planet Fitness was interesting because I was into fitness, and I thought that I would like working at Planet Fitness more than Culvers, but I honestly like loved the teamwork and like being able to learn and like be under pressure in like a fast food place. There's like goals of like time and being efficient and figuring out how to like work as a team to get these orders out. So I actually really liked it. And I think both of the jobs taught me so much. And it really also like brought me down to earth of, you're never too good for anything. I think I've always been pretty good at that. Like, but I mention it because I see some people struggling in life, and one of the things that holds them back is they kind of like think they're like too good for a fast food place. But so they're like they'd rather just like I could have just been like unemployed because I'd rather like be unemployed than work at a fast food place. But for me, I just like needed to make it happen. And I think that I was in a unique situation because I actually needed to make it happen. I didn't have a plan B. So it's like easy for me to just say that and take anything. But if someone kind of has a plan B and they can like take their time or, be in that mindset, I think it could be kind of detrimental because I've seen people kind of get stuck and not wanting to like stoop down to something that they feel like they're better than or whatever. So I just like want to point that out as like, even if you aren't, you feel that way, definitely like try to put yourself in a different mindset as well of just like the things that you can learn from anything. And that I really didn't think, I thought I would hate Culvers, like working in a fast food place, but I actually ended up loving it and learning so much. So it's just like, it also goes to show that you don't know what's out there and you don't know how things really will be. So your mindset and your like perception of something could be like completely off, that's how it was for working at Culvers. But I really liked it. But I didn't want to be there forever, obviously. If that's something you want to do forever, that's cool too. Actually, my like best friend's brother was my manager and at the time, and he actually owns a Culvers now, which is like crazy. I'm so proud of him. And it's cool to see that too, where like he was my manager and he now literally, he's so successful and owns a Culvers. It's so cool. So again, like you never know what life has in store for you, and you need to like take chances in maybe something you don't want to do, but if it's an interim and like you can learn something from it, just like do it, because it's either you like take an opportunity that maybe you don't think you want to do, or you just like sit there and do nothing. Like choose the route. Like the other thing is I knew, and I put myself there knowing that like I will always show up and do the best that I can, but it's even if it's not what I want to do forever, like I don't have to do it forever. Like just it's what I have to do now, but I can still like actively search for other things, but do the best I can at this in this adventure that I have now. And that was also like a very healthy mindset for me, like, and still is to this day. So fast forward a little bit, I ended up actually moving to North Carolina with a now ex, and because I really wanted to be there. The living situation that I was in ended up being, I felt kind of like a burden on my friend's family because they were going through a lot of like family medical things, and just it felt, I'm sure like they would have been fine with me staying longer, but I just didn't want to be like a burden on them, and I really wanted to figure out how to get to the next step. And I actually ended up being able to buy my first car, which felt impossible to me. I remember like growing up being like I actually didn't ever think it was possible that I could in my entire life own a car because of the way like I saw like my parents struggle trying to like get a car and things. And I could not believe I was 18, 19. I think maybe I was 19 at the time. And I was able to like buy a used car. It felt like such a big accomplishment to like work so hard and get to like the next step so that I didn't have to take the bus to work anymore. And so I was able to like buy a car, and I ended up going and moving and driving to North Carolina, which was also such a scary thing. It was leaving your hometown and going to a completely different place that is even like different kind of culturally of, you know, I was in the north in a city and going to the south, and just like different types of people and different even grocery stores. Like I remember being so scared and wondering like, is this the right decision? Like it feels so uncomfortable and scary, and I don't have anyone there, even though I had like really hard time in Chicago. I still had like people that I knew, you know, that I could like lean on if something like really bad happened. Like I had my friend to live with her family and all that. So moving to North Carolina felt so scary in the moment, but I also think it was one of the best things that I could have ever done because it took me out of like what I knew, and it challenged me in different ways where like I was open to having to meet other people and almost being able to like have a fresh start of like, this is they don't know how I was like, how I grew up. And because in your hometown, like almost it's kind of like everyone knows everything about you, and they have these like preconceived conceptions of you or like perceptions of you and all this. And going to a brand new place, you kind of get to like everyone who meets you, all they know about you is what you've done, their interactions with you and what you choose to tell them. And it's not like I had anything to hide, but I didn't have to be like the under like privileged kid who had to like work so hard and like not be invited to things because I probably can't afford it. Like all of that stuff. I could be like my own self from that day and figure out how to do life then. And I was really proud of myself because I'd made that big scary jump, and it ended up being like it ended up working out so well. I got a job at a frozen yogurt shop. I was making $7.25 an hour. It like I can't believe that I was like making like that little and that's like the minimum wage for the entire country. But I, again, just like needed something, and I was willing to do whatever I had to do as like an interim. And again, like I learned a lot from that, and I was able to do that and go back to school. And I went to a community college, and I paid out of pocket for my classes from the money that I made at the frozen yogurt shop, which was not a lot. I remember my paychecks being like literally nothing. But I would save what I could outside of like rent and being able to like, you know, your living costs. And just I literally would just save up for like one class at a time. And as soon as I had like enough money to enroll in a class, I would take that class and like just one step at a time. So I was really proud of myself for like getting myself back into school and being able to like pay for it myself and work hard. And again, I remember being so tired because You go to class, you do your homework, you go to work, like repeat. It's a lot. So anyways, North Carolina ended up being amazing. I ended up actually getting a job at GNC, and I started as an associate. I worked at a franchise location, 2 different franchise locations, meaning like it's privately owned, but it's a GNC. I actually really didn't like the franchise locations, and I was going to quit because of like not being happy. I was going to find something else. And I gave GNC one more chance, and I because my district manager said, you have a lot of potential. GNC isn't like always like this. Like, go apply. I'm going to get you a job interview at the corporate location, which I am so glad that I gave it another chance, because I was able to get a job at the Camp Lejeune location, which was like a GNC on the military base. And I talk about this a little bit briefly in like another podcast. So sorry if you're hearing this twice, but it was such a good experience because there were so many people to learn from, and it was such a high revenue driving, or like it was a very busy store. So it was one of like the most busy stores in most the like highest revenue driving GNC in all the military bases, but also like very high up on the list for GNCs in general. And every like supplement company wanted to like come and spend time with us and teach us about their products. And it was a good challenge for me because, these like big Marines were coming in and they needed to know, like they had like the craziest questions and they needed to trust me. But I'm like, at the time I was blonde and like so little and skinny. And I actually was competing. I took a leap and I competed in bodybuilding too. So I had like this credibility of competing in bodybuilding. But when someone just like looks at you and you're like this little skinny blonde girl, they're like, why would I trust you? So I really had to like learn to be confident, and not only confident, but just like very knowledgeable and know what I was talking about so that people would trust me. So it was a very cool time in my life, learning all about like how to count macros, how to like diet and work out effectively to build muscle and lose fat and all of those things. And then also the like supplement and the science side behind it. It was such an amazing like experience for me. And then on top of that, I was still going to school. I wanted to be a dietitian. So it felt like life was like finally coming together. Not finally, because I was still so young, but I just was so proud of myself for going from even just like donating plasma to just being a sales associate at GNC was like such a big accomplishment, because I was like doing things that I was passionate about. And I loved working with like the people there. And I actually made like some of my best friends ever in North Carolina. And you guys will hear me talk about Brittany a lot. Hopefully we can also get her on the podcast again. There's like a older episode with Brittany that we tell our whole story, but so you can listen to that. It was on like last season of Let's Laugh About It. But I'm not sure if it was less, I don't know, it's on my YouTube channel. I'll link it. But I met Brittany. She was my assistant manager at that GNC, and now she is like one of my best agency employees. I ended up actually hiring her, 8 years after that, meeting her at GNC. And I'm just like, it's so cool to see how life plays out and like the people that you encounter and meet and learn from and like stay in contact with can be such like a huge part of your life. And like later you just like never know. So yeah, being at GNC in North Carolina and meeting all of those people and learning all of everything that I learned was so beneficial for my life, getting that experience. And again, it just like came down to just putting myself out there and accepting like challenge, or sometimes even like just doing things I didn't want to do. But if I didn't have a better choice, it was like, well, I might as well try, because I really didn't. I almost was like not going to quit GNC in like forever. And I just gave it another chance because someone believed in me and gave me that opportunity. And I can't imagine like not having Brittany or some of these people in my life. My life would be so different if I didn't accept those opportunities. And even when I like just didn't feel like it might have been like the best best choice at that moment, or like the best opportunity. I could have just like, tried to do something different, or kept saying no to things that I just really didn't want to do. So that was my GNC stint, and ended up going to, when Brittany moved from North Carolina, I actually had the privilege of applying for her job, which I didn't think was ever capable of as well, because Brittany was so amazing, such big shoes to fill. And I actually didn't even know that I had severe imposter syndrome. I knew I was like decent at my job, but I didn't know, I never had like leadership in like a workplace kind of like experience. So when the manager asked me to apply for the position, I was like, there's no, like, that's crazy that you even want me to apply. And there's no way I'll get it because I don't have the experience. But again, I went back to like that mindset thing of like, wait, if someone believes in me and they want me to do this, maybe I can do this. And again, I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to like better my skills and like do my best, but do the best I can. But I believe I was only at the time 20 years old, and there was people who were working at the store that were 25, 26, 27, and to me was like, it felt so awkward or weird that I could be like someone's boss, but I'm so much younger than them. And there was all of those kind of things, like mental challenges, like all of those little decisions or things going through your head that you don't believe in yourself. And I'm really grateful that other people saw like the light in me that I didn't see, because without that, I would not be where I am again. And that goes to show too that like you have such a big impact in not only your own life, but others. And you just like telling someone like you believe in them or they should do something, and encouraging them to do something can completely change their lives too. So I really also try to like give that back to the world as well, and point out the positives in people's personalities and their work ethics and stuff, because I know that since I didn't see it in myself, that other people might not see it in themselves. And there were so many points in my life where other people pointed it out for me and allowed me to be more confident and believe in myself. So I ended up getting the position and learning so much about leadership, and going to, which felt so silly at the time, like some of the like manager, like leadership trainings and stuff, which now I look back at, and I like didn't realize how much I was learning in the moment. But now I'm like utilize a lot of those different like leadership skills and organization and KPIs and breaking down goals and leading a team, even like making a schedule. All those things I use in my like day to day, and I have used since then. So I got all that experience, and I had a lot of challenges as well. It was not easy being like a young leader who doesn't have much experience. And I actually like one of the things that I struggle with today, which I think a lot of people struggle with, but now I'm like a little bit like more stubborn and bold, and probably a little bit I like have a hard time keeping my mouth shut kind of thing. But I have like a really hard time with incompetent leadership. And so I think that it was like really hard for me I just like didn't want to be an incompetent leader. Like I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing and I was a good leader for my team, which was really hard because I knew that I like am new at this and I have so much to learn. But I really, really tried to like not have an ego and know that like I'm new at this and it's okay. And that like if I'm vulnerable and I don't pretend to know what I'm doing all the time, but I'm like willing to learn and like listen to people. And I realized that a lot of what being a good manager and being a good leader is just like being a good friend almost, and just listening to your team and figuring out how you can help them and help them improve, and like also just empower them to get to that next step in their career or improve whatever they're struggling with. So I really, really like loved that experience. I probably like if I wasn't in a different situation, I might have like literally stayed at that store forever. I'm grateful for the way life played out, but I was really happy there and it was amazing. I ended up transferring, moving back to Chicago and transferring to some stores in the Chicagoland area. And that was actually really hard for me because it was completely different. I struggled with a lot of theft, and I was in downtown Chicago and like a very busy street that is like not that bad of a neighborhood, but it was State Street, very busy. But there was so much theft. And I remember being like actually very scared for my life for a couple, like in a couple different situations. And I'll take some time to share this because I haven't really talked about it too much, but there was situations where I had like shoplifters in the store, and I probably shouldn't have like, challenged them. But one of the things with my like KPIs was keeping inventory straight. And so I would like confront these like shoplifters, which like now thinking back to it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I risked my life to save a Vitapack. Like I shouldn't have done that. But I was just like so passionate about my job and like really upset that people were trying to like steal from us. And I had this one situation that I was closing up the store, and this guy was knocking on the window. And so I like opened up the door and I was like, how can I help you? And he was like, oh girl, what's your name? And I kind of just like rolled my eyes and went to close the door, and he swung it open. Thankfully I had a security guard in the store. We had security like in certain hours because of like the safety reasons. And he like threatened me and said like he was going to come back and send his people. He knows where I work. He knows when I get off, all these things. And so it was very scary. I had to like wait for the police to come and like make sure that I got out of the store safe. And I can't remember if this was like shortly before that or shortly after, my security guard got jumped and like blood everywhere, ruined the store. There was like product everywhere, broken. There's like, if you guys know those isopure glasses, those glass like heavy things broken everywhere that smells so bad if you let them sit, like blood on all the products in the shelves. It was crazy. And so going from like such a positive experience in North Carolina at GNC to like this like crazy, like dealing with the most like insane things every single day, I was like just so thrown off by life because I was like, whoa, I was doing so good, and now I'm like in this situation. And thankfully they let me like transfer to a safer location, and I'm really happy they did, because I think it was only like 2 or 3 weeks after the store that I got transferred from was held up at gunpoint. It was just like insane. I couldn't believe that was like, thinking back to it, I'm like, wow, I dealt with so much and I had to be so tough and like pretend to be so confident when I was like so scared. So I was happy to get out of that situation and ask for that. And I'm really glad that I had the voice and the confidence in I just was able to speak up and ask to be in a better situation, because it's, again, I see a lot of people, they like, they don't realize that they don't have to be doing that, and even I put up with that stuff like far longer than I should have. I should not have like let myself be put in a situation I didn't need to be, especially if I wasn't safe. So I'm really like happy that I got out of there, but it's hard to speak up, but it's worth it, especially if it's for your safety and your happiness. So that's what I did. And fast forward again, I actually was, I decided that I was going to, now that I could focus on school and I could sign and get like loans, and now that I have like credit built up from these like years of getting money or like making money and getting a credit score and like all that stuff and building up that, I was able to get loans for school finally, and I got into the dietetics program at University of Illinois in Chicago, UIC. And so I was actually just wanting to focus on school, and I was okay. Like I was okay with like going into a little bit of like student loan debt because I wanted to further my education and be a dietitian. And when I was leaving GNC, I actually got approached by GHOST, which was just a little over 2 years old at the time. For those of you who don't know, supplements and energy drinks now, they just sold to Dr. Pepper Keurig, is that right? I don't know. yeah, you could look it up. They just sold for like a crazy amount of money. Really, really proud of that team. It's crazy to know that like I was a part of that in the beginning. I ended up, so they recruited me when they found out that I was leaving GNC, and I started as a part-time customer support agent. And again, I remember thinking, I feel like that is a little bit like below my pay grade kind of thing, like where I'm like managing all these GNCs, and accepting like a part-time customer support job just felt kind of like a step backwards and not a very glamorous thing. But again, I was just took the opportunity because it was something new I could learn, and it was a cool company. Like, I remember watching like influencers who were taking GHOST, and I was really into the fitness world. So I accepted the position because I just was like, what's the worst? Like the worst thing that happens is I don't like it, and then I don't have to be there. So yeah, I started at GHOST, and I'm really glad that I did, again, because I quickly got very obsessed with, and like I just like fell in love with customer support actually and e-commerce, because there was like just like so much in the inbox, and like it's so interesting to be like brand side and learning like what's going on like virtually in these brands, and like what it takes to create a product, and like the product and development, and like being able to like give that feedback to the product and development team and be a part of like new flavors and fixing like complaints and fixing tech. And so I learned all about e-commerce from just all of the like things that could go wrong, and things that could go wrong, or just like ideas that I had from listening to the customers and saying like, oh, these customers keep saying this, like I'm going to look into that and see if there's like anything we can do to improve that. And I just got very curious, and I actually ended up like I've slowly but surely just like stopped going to class because I just was so like I wanted to put more and more time into learning this like whole e-commerce world, and which was crazy because I had worked so hard to go to school and pay for school out of pocket, and like get into UIC was like such a big application process. And yeah, I don't know. I just like I felt like that's what I wanted to do and where I wanted to put my time. And again, I do remember being like, oh, you're such a failure. Like you're dropping out of school again. But then changing my mindset of, like this like just feels right. I know it's just customer support in quotes, but like I'm learning so much, and it's such a cool place to be. I was employee number 8. So I was like, it's just seeing the brand grow so quickly around, like right in front of my eyes, and just learning so much. And it just like felt like the right thing to do. And then I told myself, like the typical thing is you go to high school, you go to college, you get your job. And like, it's this perfect timeline that like America has set up for us. Right. And that's like what all of like the people my age are doing. And they're already, I was like comparing myself to like people my age where they're already graduated college. And I'm like, I don't even have an associate's degree. I'm like, it was really like hard to battle and like have that mental thing. And I'm like, oh, now I'm just going to be like a customer support person. Like it was really hard. And I had to keep bringing myself back to the positive mindset of, this just like feels right. I could go back to school whenever I want. There's no time limit. I'm grateful that I like had classmates in like community college that were, I had classmates that were like 60, 70 years old because they just wanted to go back to school and learn something. So I told myself, I can take a break, and this feels right now, and I'm making good money, or like decent money, where like if I stay in school, I might even just like not even make that much money. And I just told myself it's like a break, and if I wanted to go back, I could go back. And I'm really glad that I like allowed myself to do that. And it's crazy to just like drop out of school when you've worked so hard, but I never went back. I am really happy with that decision, because even though it was like, again, in quotes, just customer support, I was learning so much literally every single day. And it's really like it was the foundation of my current career now, just like starting in customer support. And so, yeah, I ended up just like kept in like entrenching myself in anything that I was curious about in Ghost and in e-commerce. I ended up like even just like helping them with the processes of opening up a warehouse. And they like had their third party warehouse and they opened up their own. And I got to be like a big part of that. I learned what an ERP is, which is like, if you guys know what that is, it's very challenging and it's an important part of business, but it's like such a pain in the butt to set up. I learned about marketing and I just like understanding that there's like emails that go out and there's like so much behind the scenes to like keep inventory straight and everyone happy and just like planning that goes behind like launching a product and just all of these things like influencer marketing. I learned so much. And then actually like randomly we came out with a gaming product. And one of the things that we did with the gaming product was create an online like gaming community. And one of those things was Twitch. So I got to be a part of like that community building and, just fun, like playing video games with the team. And I ended up, it was coinciding with COVID actually. So we were, had a lot of time. We were all working from home and we would like work our, normal jobs and then play video games at night on Twitch and stream like for Ghost. And I actually built like a good following because I decided that, if I'm like playing video games and like learning how to navigate Twitch and learn how to stream, I might as well just stream myself. And what I'm really like proud of myself for doing in that situation is actually just doing it even though it wasn't perfect to start. My audio, I remember my first streams like were so bad with like quality wise, like my audio wasn't synced up with my like video and the lighting was horrible. Like I for some reason I just like didn't care too much. I was just like, well, I might as well just like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I could just press go live. And I think that like for a long time, I literally streamed like 0 people. And I just like slowly but surely just started improving different parts of my stream and getting better at it and building a following and posting about it. And fast forward, I got an Instagram DM that said, do you want to be on this TV show? And the reason why they reached out to me was I was into fitness and gaming. And I thought it was like a scam. They were like, it's on this new streaming platform called Peacock, an NBC production. And like, I was like, this like sounds like such a scam. Peacock obviously wasn't a thing. It was this new streaming platform, and it's going to be filmed in Australia, which is also like red flag because nobody could get into Australia at the time because of COVID. So it was just like, I don't even know if this is a real thing. But you know what? I'll just like, it kind of seemed there was like a lot of like credibility behind like the person asking me and like the things, there was like a lot of like green flags too. But so I just like heard it out. I would go to these like, had like a couple phone interviews for it and it got more and more legit. And I still was like, this is like cool that I was asked, but like, there's no way I get picked for this. Sure enough, I got picked and I had to make a decision. Do I go and fly to Australia for 6 weeks and leave my job for something that's like so temporary and uncertain? Or do I stay where I'm at and like just say thank you, but no. Luckily, not luckily, but like, like I'm glad that I made the decision. I ended up leaving Ghost, which is insane to think about now because it was such a like a cool brand to work with. It still is. And I just like, it again felt right to make the decision to go on this TV show. And I went to Australia. I filmed the TV show. It's called Frogger if you want to look at it. It's on Peacock. I believe I'm in episode 4. I was Gamer Girl. It's like a little bit cringy. It's so interesting how they like take your words and mesh them together, even though it's like not exactly what you said. So it's like really hard for me to like watch it back, but it's still so cool. But yeah, I did that. I made like such good friends there as well. And I ended up deciding that I'm going to just see if I could stream full time and make it pay my bills doing that. So I actually filmed in Australia. I actually streamed while I was there, and I came back and just streamed on Twitch full time. And I paid my bills. I played video games full time. It was amazing until I got recruited to work for Chomps. And now I'm going to kind of like fast forward my story because this is like more of like what we talk about in the day-to-day on the podcast. So you can kind of like put all the pieces together by listening to most of the podcast. But got recruited to work at Chomps. I actually said no the first couple times because I was like, I'm playing video games, and I was honestly kind of like burnt out from the like customer support side of things because it is not an easy job. And so I wasn't sure if I wanted to get back into it. And I finally just was like, you know what, I'm like, this looks like a cool brand. I do miss working with a team and like the e-commerce world. So I accepted the position, and again, really glad that I did. I ended up learning outside of all the customer experience and support side. I also learned about retention marketing, and I was trusted to, even though I didn't know how to do it, I managed email, SMS, loyalty, subscription, all of those things, which was new to me from like my Ghost experience. And again, I'll actually reference I'm not sure if this is going to be in a future episode. So it's either we'll go back and reference how I started the agency in an episode, either that's going to be after this or before this, but ended up being like able to start the agency part-time because I was being asked for more and more help with customer experience. And I took the leap and like did that part-time. And again, we'll reference the other episodes so you can kind of like see that part of my story. But I'm just like, it's crazy to think that, again, just like full circle, going back to donating plasma to just like have a phone and like being unsure if I can get a job to now scaling my agency without even knowing it to 7 figures, which is insane to think about. Again, like I'm not a millionaire by any means, but like it's crazy to see like how much like money cycles through the agency. And again, like it's not like I have $1 million, but it's we have employees to pay and business expenses, all those things. So it's like I just say that because I used to look at these like agency owners and these founders and be like, wow, that's like such a that's so cool to be able to do that. Like I wish I could do that one day. And to be here where I am today on like really accident and just like going with the flow of life and trusting my gut and like doing things that are scary or doing things that like are not that are out of the norm and not like your typical what you're supposed to do. It got me to where I am today. And I like really, really want to like kind of give back and make sure that, or like do my part on helping other people believe in themselves. And like it's important to me now to share my story and let people know how I got to where I am. It's interesting because when I tell this story, I've gotten a lot of people say things like, oh, I just like thought you like came from generational wealth. Wrong. Or you know, had like an easy life and like you were able to do these things because you had this stuff set up for you and you got lucky. Or even I've had you were only successful because you're pretty, like weird things. Like it's been interesting for me to like share my story and be like, no, I actually had I worked really hard and my life was not easy and I had to like go through so much pain and struggle to get to where I am today. And like, even throughout all of that, like career stuff, there's so many things that happen like personally with like medical issues or like not being in a safe living situation. And like all of that stuff outside of just the career stuff and just personal life of like having to figure it out with not much help. And, just having to like rely on like myself and Google and like the people around me at the time. It's just not easy, but like you can really do anything you set your mind to. But I really, really, really think that it's like all comes down to mindset and believing in yourself and having those people, like trusting what the other people around you say and giving more than you take. When you listen to the episode about how the agency started, I honed in on like, I started it for free, and I just like gave my knowledge just to like help others, because I just like felt like that was the right thing to do. And now, like, again, it's like a very successful agency and we're growing, and I'm like so grateful to be able to like work with like friends and previous coworkers and just like good people who also just believe in like doing good work and helping others. So, yeah, I guess that's like pretty much gets you up to date on my, how I got to where I am today. And I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope that it helped a little bit, or you're able to take one thing from it. If you think that this could help someone else who is wanting to, you know, further themselves in their lives, or just can be inspired by my story, I really appreciate if you send this video to them. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the show notes for other places where you can find me if you're interested. And thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate you taking the time and hearing out my story. And we'll catch you in the next one.
You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and catch us in the next episode. And thank you for listening.